technology which can track this truck. So as we mentioned earlier with Roland, it's
Here we go.
a pretty specific type of truck. It won't be hard to locate.
This dude's been running around for
and
a
now
minute.
we're in Ventura County. So the sheriff's department could be getting involved as well.
Going
We
for a
don't
minute.
know that for sure. What
I'm
what
back.
the game plan is here, but they are in a different. This driver is in a different jurisdiction now,
I'm
and
gonna
that would belong to the sheriff's department. But we don't know
bring
if
it
they
back
will
with
be
a
pursuing this vehicle
little
or
box
they're just
truck
going to be
action
on
here.
the lookout. Again, one of the good things about this is that the company does have a tracking device on this vehicle.
All right, so we continue to show you
Trying
video
to mess
shot from
around with some
earlier
other
today. This
stuff.
is along Pacific Coast Highway in its earlier stages, obviously before the rain.
I missed
The further
everybody,
west, as
I'll
David
tell you that
mentioned,
for real.
our meteorologist David Bigger, the further west this driver goes, the more rain we saw. In fact, that was true. In fact, we saw some pretty slick roads out there. And as we try to reestablish Roland's live picture, again, the conditions of fewer cars on PCH, however, the conditions are a little more precarious.
Yeah, and he was driving down PCH in the Malibu area near Pepperdine University. We saw him go through these intersections pretty recklessly, we might add. And, you know, that was such a big concern because we know that that PCH in that area has been dangerous. And there are a lot of pedestrians, students who are in that area near Pepperdine. So we don't know exactly where the box truck is now, but we do believe the box truck is in Ventura County, still heading northbound on PCH. And we're trying to establish our shot here with Roland Sproul, who is still overhead this stolen vehicle that was stolen out of the area of West LA, Culver City. Don't know what's inside that box truck, but the good thing, once again, and we want to emphasize, is that the police have stopped pursuing.
Oh, shit. See what happens. We got. This is definitely a closer, better angle. See what happens with this cat. It's been a minute. Got some new shit bringing to the stream. We're gonna have some fun. I want to definitely oh shit. Sons of bitches.
That's when he does seem to accelerate, and I think your word was perfect. He gets impatient, and he just wants to get around. So here's another opportunity for him to see that spot and take it. Although
I'll tell you, boy.
Corner might be a bit tough.
Yeah, and then there's a decline here heading into Camarillo, right?
Give me altitude.
This dude's
So Scott
going
is
through
trying
the
to make
mountains
some altitude so he can get a more
to
clear
Ventura
signal. But
County.
To your point, Giovanni, yeah, now it's a matter of if the speeds become unmanageable for this person as they're trying to drive, but at least they've got two lanes here. And so there for a moment, it's just that area, there's always seeming to be some construction going on.
Sorry, they're trying to kill me
Up into the Ventura
over here.
area.
I don't know why, but
two lanes, you worry about people who are working. And then the conditions themselves are not good for driving in the best of it, but it's rainy and messy.
It is raining, and as he moves into Ventura, there'll be more rain. And I was talking about that decline in Camarillo into Camarillo. That's a pretty steep decline, and we don't know how much control he has.
Figure out what we got going on,
especially
here.
if it's empty. If it's an empty vehicle, this is the video of earlier, and this is one of the reasons why they went to tracking mode. The person drove into oncoming traffic. You'll notice, see how everybody had to back up to get out of the way to avoid being hit.
And he clipped a car.
And he did.
It's just crazy, bro. They got me, wow. Okay, so yeah, we're back to this one, I guess. I don't know what's going on, man. They keep changing it up on me. Oh shit, now we got a black screen, huh? Why is that?
Upon the end of that turn lane and nearly had to hit the pylons in the middle.
That's right.
He was coming over, and that's when the people around him were all at risk. But I think Scott Reif is back now as we're in Camarillo with this, and the speeds could pick up on a decline here, Scott.
Yeah, the speeds haven't changed too much, and now we're on a stretch of PCH through Camarillo. As I mentioned earlier,
it's going through
we're
Camarillo
Air Base, basically just traveling right over there or through their extended center line. And it'll continue to look just like this for about another 5 to 7 miles. And then PCH sort of changes a little bit as far as the congestion or the area that you travel through. But right now, there's a big center median, so we don't quite have the danger we had when PCH was down to just 3 lanes, 2 southbound and 1 north. Or the opposite. And I think as far as the danger of him hitting oncoming traffic, that has dissipated just a bit. We'll bring up the real-time speed tracker once again. I would imagine the speed limit here is 65. And so you can tell he's going a little faster than the speed limit.
Who knows?
But not excessive rates of speed. At least we haven't seen that. And there's little to no volume on this entire stretch of PCH all the way up into Oxnard from what I can tell. There's a lot of cloud cover up ahead. You're going to see us lose the shot, not our signal. We're high enough now. We shouldn't have a problem, but you're going to see these clouds in just a moment that will obscure the vehicle from time to time. But there are a lot of offshoots. There are a lot of streets to get off now, whereas when you're in Malibu, you know, you really couldn't get off on too many streets, or else if you went off the wrong street, you were going to be into a dead end if you didn't get off on something major like Malibu or Canaan. But now
I apologize. This is complete pop-up stream. I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready for this at all.
Median. There's 2 lanes in both directions, and fortunately, there's not a lot of volume.
But
we're also starting to see the speed in comparison to traffic, because we saw one person easily pass, and then this truck here is going about the same speed. So at 72 miles an hour, he's not, the driver of the box truck is not the fastest vehicle on the road right now. You're in highway traffic.
And the question now also, as he moves into Ventura, is what will Ventura County Sheriffs do, how they will handle this situation?
Scott, have you seen any change, or have you seen any helicopter, air travel, any on-the-ground vehicles, or have they pretty much taken the tack that you know, everybody else has to this point?
Oh, man.
Well, it's interesting. There's no helicopter that I'm aware of overhead. We're in Ventura County now, so it'll be interesting to see how they handle it. There is a patrol car, though, coming up pretty quick, and he's about, I would say, I don't know, a quarter mile behind. You look out your window there, Marcel, you'll see him. It's kind of too far for us to open up. We might be able to. It's going to be way off to your left. What's going to happen here in a moment is we're going to have to travel right on top of some clouds, some low-level clouds. So from time to time, we're going to lose the vehicle, but the vehicle will come back in, and that patrol car I was talking about is coming up at a rate of speed in which he's going to intercept the truck. So it will be interesting to see how Ventura County handles this. You know, we can lose altitude now and go through that hole there because of our signal. We'll be fine here. And that's a CHP. It's not Ventura County Sheriff, so it's CHP. And it'll be interesting to see,
it's funny, man,
you know, just how they handle this as we come up into this area of Ventura County. And there's the clouds we were talking about. Fortunately, we can descend quite a bit now and still get our signal because of where we're at. At least I hope so.
See,
when we're trying, but you get an idea what we're dealing with.
Gotta clear this up.
The weather conditions.
Gotta clear it up. Clear it up.
I certainly wouldn't call it a hard rain, but you could tell how slick the conditions are. And now we're coming up into that area where, you know, we're going to start to cross over, and we're going to head up into Oxnard, and then that's that area I talked about where PCH does go through an area where there's a little more congestion.
Yeah, see.
And now there are 4 units behind them, so it looks like they may
There's been a lot
engage,
of bullshit going on.
They may engage the suspect as
lately.
we continue north. We're still in Camarillo. Got a ways to go before we're in Oxnard. But they may re-engage. Open up, Marcel. Give me a wide shot. There are 4 vehicles total, patrol cars. And you're going to see one come at the bottom of your screen there. They actually stopped at the intersection, so go back into the truck. They're actually They're staying back and not letting the suspect
And
see
he-
them.
yeah.
So at this point in time, they really have not re-engaged, but it looks like they're ready to if they decide to.
Let's
And
see
then,
what,
go
like,
ahead,
really-
Marcel, and tilt up with the camera.
They've been-
and this will
they've
give you an
been
idea of what's
trying
up
to,
ahead. You know,
figure
we talked
out
about this a little bit. There's going to be a little more
my
congestion
formula. I
on
guess I gave it too
PCH,
much time,
as you
man.
head up towards the 101
I
freeway.
gave it too much time.
And so as we head through there,
It's
we're
all
going
right.
to see some
You know.
stoplights. We're going to see possibly more pedestrian traffic.
Figure all
and
this
the
out.
risk is going to get higher once again now. It'll be interesting to see what the demeanor of the
Yes, I'm with
suspect
this.
is and just how desperate he is if he comes up on an intersection up ahead where we have a red light. And that looks like that may happen here in just a moment.
Okay, Scott, we're going to wrap
He's a
up coverage of
desperado.
this on the linear portion, ABC7, and return our viewers to regular programming. But we are going to continue this chase on our streaming, ABC7 LA streaming app. So if you'd like to continue to watch this, you can join us on our streaming platform. And right now, we're going to return you to regular schedule of programming, along with Giovanna Lara, Scott Reif, and Philip Palmer. Thank you for this special coverage of this chase
There
that
we
is
go.
now into Ventura. Whoa, and we got to
Wow.
do. I'm just going to ask one more time if we want to stay with this for a
Got
moment,
little-
or if we're
little
going to
bump
still
nudge
break away.
there, huh? Got a little.
We're going to keep with this just for a second, Scott, because now this is
Well,
becoming.
traffic
not good.
and
Into
missing.
oncoming traffic around.
Yeah,
the
This
he
is the
ain't-
behavior that was happening earlier, and it's just
The
come
behavior.
right back. So we are going to stay with this now.
Behavior.
We have officers that have engaged right behind, and the suspect now that has met traffic resistance has taken a much more aggressive
He's being
measure.
met with
Scott.
resistance from the wind.
Yeah, this is just senseless because the patrol cars weren't right behind this individual. So whether he sees the patrol cars or not, he's going to drive like that, and that goes into the thought process of the CHP at this point in time, who's the lead agency, because they are intercepting this vehicle now. And you think about the strategy. I mean, you never want to second guess them, but when they get right behind this vehicle, I have a feeling that he's going to start to drive much faster than he was driving before. And there's a lot of we're coming up, but we're still in Camarillo. We're about a mile south of the 101 freeway, headed northbound on PCH. But the real dicey situation is
This is
when the suspect
ridiculous,
comes
bro.
up to stop traffic at a red light. So it'll be interesting to see what happens here, see if he gets on the 101.
So uncomfortable.
exactly
I
how he
wasn't
continues
able
to
to even
proceed.
get set up
The
right.
patrol
I
cars,
just
though,
jumped
we can
right
open up
into
now,
this.
Marcel. I think you'll be able to see them real quick.
I don't know.
It'll give
I
you
don't
an
know
idea
what-
just how far behind they are. Keep
what
going
the
to the
shit
left
I'm
if you would
doing.
to the camera. Just let him come out of the screen for a moment. The patrol car is going to go in right there. So there's four of them.
I
You
feel
go
like
back
Ricky
to the
Bobby. I
truck
can
now.
feel my
There's
hands.
4 CHP units behind the truck, and the truck does appear to be accelerating. So there's a good chance he sees them now in the side mirror and is deciding he's going to drive faster. And I think that's really one of the reasons the LAPD and
Go,
LA
baby,
County
go.
Sheriff's deputies decided to back off on this. They didn't want to encourage this individual in that truck, in that heavy truck, to drive even in a more erratic nature. Now, if he stays in the right lane, he's going to get on the 101 freeway traveling southbound. That'll be a turn onto the 101 freeway, and it looks like that is going to be the case. So CHP will more than likely engage on the freeway. I believe they're going to do that now. It'll be interesting to see. But the vehicles on the 101 northbound, we're in Camarillo, pretty much on the border of Camarillo and Oxnard. And looks like he's headed back down towards Los Angeles. If he continues on the 101 south,
CHP's
through
definitely
Camarillo,
gonna pick
and then,
this
Of
up.
course, Thousand Oaks, Woodland Hills.
There's
that
no
area.
way.
But on the freeway now, and you can see the patrol cars are behind him.
Yeah, and he's been at this now an hour, right? Because you said we picked it up at 11:30, but you were watching it. There was law enforcement on his tail before we picked it up, so an hour now.
Yeah, but about that, maybe even a little bit, a little bit longer, more than an hour. The speeds here, though, we talked about the weight of that vehicle. We don't know if it's full, but, that's a big truck regardless. The inertia, the speed of the vehicle, if he's involved
The
in an incident
inertia.
at speed, it's not going to be pretty. There's no question about that. Traffic up ahead on the 101 northbound is very light.
It's a good thing that traffic's light, because you could do a lot of damage to that truck. It's a big deal. A big problem. Could be a big problem anyway.
He's 101 south.
The 101 freeway southbound.
Yeah.
He's headed southbound
Heading
on the
to Los
101, headed
Angeles.
towards Los Angeles. He was on PCH northbound. Once he got to the 101, he picked up the 101 freeway south. We're right at Camarillo Airport now. We're just coming up on the airport itself. I think I will have to break away from this pursuit probably in the next 10 minutes or so. We're keeping an eye on the fuel. And then I think we have our other helicopter, newscopter, that will take over with the coverage. But right now, I mean, you see the speeds. The speeds
Give
aren't
me
really
1
excessive.
second. I'm gonna have to
CHP has backed off. They have
do a
4
little
units
something
behind
here.
him in the right lane, but far enough behind him that I don't think that he actually sees them. I think it's going to be a little more difficult for the suspect to see those patrol cars in the far right lane, you know, quarter mile back. And if they were in the left lane, just with the mirror advantage from his viewpoint. And so at this point in time, you know, they're the patrol cars. We have a pursuit that doesn't appear to be all that dangerous. It looks like he's able to stay in his lane, push in tight. We haven't seen a lot of that swerving, Philip, that we saw earlier. Maybe a little bit, but not excessive. He's still able to stay within the lines in his lane. But boy, it was pretty sketchy there on PCH when he was doing a little swerving, possibly into oncoming traffic. And then, of course, we know how desperate the suspect is to get away when he just would not stop in Santa Monica and went into oncoming traffic, hit another vehicle, but again at a slow rate of speed, and no one was hurt. Yeah. And we certainly hope how this one ends. You know, we cover enough of these things, and it's just so dangerous for the public. I think the strategy is a great one, though, to be honest with you. I think it's much better that they back off and don't get right behind a suspect that they know is desperate to get away.
He's coming in hot.
And then have him drive at a more erratic pace, because right now he's basically just driving the speed limit.
Right, and you're not wrong about that, but I do wonder about the strategy change and the fact that the CHP showed up. 4 CHP patrol cars.
Just have
they
a
seemed
fun.
like they were gaining on him, and then they seemed like
gotta have fun.
They backed off.
Yeah, you know, a supervisor may have saw our picture or somebody's picture and saw that if he did see them, he started to drive more erratically, and they backed off. But they're not behind him at all now. I can't see him at my window. So at this point in time, you know, they've got him tracked. They're making radio calls. They're they're getting the other units in the area aware of what's going on, so that if he gets off on one of the surface streets, they can be prepared. You know, Ventura County Sheriff, they're going to be patrolling this area, so they're aware of what's going on as well. And, you know, at some point in time, the suspect's going to have to stop. He's going to run out of gas. And I really believe, like I mentioned earlier, that more than likely there's a tracker on that vehicle. It's just so many delivery trucks have trackers now. It's sort of unusual for one not to. And that could be one of the reasons they're not, they don't have an air unit overhead.
Well, Scott, just as a measure of housekeeping, we know that at some point within the next 10 minutes, you're going to have to go refuel. We will continue to follow this, but we also want to let our viewers know that we're in the middle of GMA3, what you need to know, and we're going to stick with this probably another 5 minutes or so. Then we're going to let Scott go. Then we'll resume this on, actually, it'll be even sooner than that. Okay, so Scott has gone. So, Scott, thank you for safe travels to go to Van Nuys and refuel. And now we are with Newscopter, and we'll continue to follow this along with Giovanna Lara.
See, we've definitely, we gotta get this Lowe's box truck chased up on something else, man. Something's gotta happen here. I don't know. I don't know why. Stuck with the stone truck. Well, yeah. Yeah, see, impatient, they say.
To try to get away from CHP officers, which had just resumed. That's what you're looking at.
I don't condone this type of behavior.
On the left is Air 7HD, another helicopter. We don't have a reporter in that helicopter, so we'll just kind of describe what we see. but we've just kind of logistically made a bit of a change as we're about to wrap this up on ABC7.
Yes, and now he is heading on the 101 southbound back towards
The dude's
Los
literally
Angeles.
running
but
from
again, we picked
nothing.
it up around the 10 and the 405,
I'm pretty
he
sure-
made his way all the way beyond Camarillo, I believe, turned around and got back on the 101 south.
Which is somewhat interesting, and to be on that narrow lane that is PCH and such a dangerous road, and then turning around and going right back where you came from. It's possible that the person wants to get back into familiar territory. If you're trying to get away from police, you're not going to want to just turn around on PCH because you'd have to stop to do that. So maybe this person knows the area well enough that
I don't think he's doing that, pal.
and get headed back in the other direction, especially if they don't believe they're being followed at this point, because law enforcement is so far behind them.
Yeah, well, we never know what the plan is for the driver. It never makes any sense to us watching because we believe, and as it often happens, they are caught. And Scott mentioned the possibility that there's a tracker on this truck, and maybe that is one of the reasons also that law enforcement have chosen to sort of pull back. Also, to your point, he does seem to act up aggressively when they gain up on him, so maybe that's another reason too. But even though the speeds aren't super high, we've seen faster pursuits. The fact that he's in this heavy heavy truck, and it looks like an older truck too, so we don't know the condition of the vehicle. That makes it more dangerous, despite the moderate speeds.
We can't really get into the mind of the person
this
or
point,
necessarily how the person came to the vehicle, but it does strike me as a very high possibility that this person just grabbed one of these vehicles from Lowe's and took off. You can rent these vehicles all the time. They're sitting in the parking lots, and in many cases, the Home Depots and Lowe's are having a lot of theft. So who knows what this is? It also could be somebody's property. They were simply moving, and the person jumped in the vehicle and drove away. We don't know how they got it. We just know it was stolen. Right. We are a few seconds away from wrapping up this on ABC7. We're going to rejoin GMA3, What You Need to Know. But if you'd like to continue to watch this pursuit, you can on our streaming platforms. I'm Philip Palmer, along with Giovanna Lara.
Thanks, Philip. Yep.
And we continue to follow
They continue to follow.
101 southbound. This is Ventura Freeway. We're not sure where he is at this point, but he was making his way back from Camarillo. And again, this is a stolen truck. This is why authorities began the chase, is what we understand. A single driver in the vehicle, as far as we know.
This is the best look we've had of this person. It does look like if it's a male driver. We haven't known at this point because of the direction, but that right there is one of the reasons I also think that sometimes he drives somewhat erratically.
He's wearing
he's looking around in the cab. He's reaching across the way.
Might have them all.
I just think sometimes he just keeps a straight line instead of following and staying in lanes, because he's just simply driving without concern for anybody around him.
And it's hard to drive these large vehicles. It really is. I mean, you have to have a lot of experience to be able to maneuver them and know where to look and how to see where the other cars are around it.
Oh, the blind spots are remarkable.
Yeah. Exactly. So he's going about just under 50 miles an hour right now, but we have seen some very aggressive driving from this suspect, driving on the wrong side of the road, clipping a vehicle. Nothing serious, no one was hurt, but he is determined to get away.
And I think, you bring up a great point about the lack of being able to see what's around you. And as it looks like this person was thinking about getting off in the exit, but whenever this guy was getting in congested traffic, you're not going to know if somebody is right there to your right. The left side, you probably can see them, but not on the right. And so when he was just driving, I think those were the moments where it just didn't matter if anybody was there or not. He couldn't see them probably, and he didn't really
they
care.
are.
So when he would go to the left, there's the chances that he could see what was there a little better. But what's interesting about this right now is, again, it's just freeway speeds, and there are people who are driving faster than this person, and so we've seen cars right now. This little minivan is driving faster and going to pass. So it's not so much the speed, but the impatience and the recklessness and the willingness to do whatever to continue moving forward for this truck that I think is the fear.
That's right. And we have seen evidence of law enforcement in pursuit initially. And then, as you know, we've been saying, they pulled back. And then all of through the northern part of PCH, no one was following him. There was no evidence of any patrol vehicles. That would be through sort of the LA County Sheriff's Department jurisdiction. But then when he moved into Camarillo, we did see 4 CHP patrol cars gain on him, try to catch up with him. But then again, we saw some more aggressive driving from the suspect, and they pulled back.
Well, and that was, I think, if those 4 officers, or one, it started as 1 and then all of a sudden there were 4, but if they all of a sudden decided, hey, now may be a chance, they got proof, or they got more evidence that what LAPD and what the sheriff had decided to do was the best course of action. Because as soon as that move
nothing I can do about it right now.
Videotape just a moment ago of the driving through.
It's actually probably one thing that'll save me for a minute. Who knows? Who knows?
He's still very aware that he doesn't want to be caught.
Exactly. And we have Bruce Thomas on the line, law enforcement expert.
Bruce.
Thank you so much for talking with us. Can you shed some light or some insight on the strategy on the law enforcement side in this case?
Yeah, in this case, you're dealing with a vehicle that has substantial weight and size. So some of the typical things you may want to do down the road, like a pit maneuver, are probably out the window. Your best course of action would be a spike strip on this type of vehicle.
Well, and even that is somewhat difficult, isn't it, Bruce, because of the rate of speed? I mean, you can't put officers at risk, and this vehicle is significant in size, and you're going to it could flip. Without, if you all of a sudden lost air pressure, I mean, there's risk involved in that as well, yeah?
There's risk involved.
That's correct, Philip. Yeah, I mean, ideally the spike strip will deploy what we'll call little pitons inside the tire, which lets the air out very, very slowly. It seems like CHP or Ventura County Sheriffs, it may have a strategy of let's
blow them baloney skins off the rims. Let's go.
Operational zone area to follow, or maybe do some intervention with this truck.
Wow, look at this. Look at this. There's contact with that vehicle. Wow. He ran into another box truck. And what's interesting is he was absolutely looking
box truck
at
versus
the
box truck. Let's go.
As he hit him. And now the question is, does that box truck pull over, or does he try to re-engage? And that is the concern there, because now look, the box truck that was hit is still pursuing the suspect vehicle. So, Bruce, how does that change things for CHP?
Come on.
You can't have a road rage incident in addition to a chase.
Yeah, that was very interesting that he hit the other box truck. And the box
road
truck
rage chase.
Under the impression of, hey, I'm going to follow this guy, get information to file a police report.
Right.
So CHP is going to have to intervene and pull that other box truck over.
Yeah, because they have no idea. There's no police around. So the second vehicle has no idea that this is a pursuit suspect, and by the way, doesn't know if the person's armed, doesn't know if the person's dangerous, doesn't know if that truck has been stolen. But now look, he's coming up, and we got to see.
Mr. Tire ain't playing around.
Yeah, ideally, if you're in that type of situation, get on the phone, dial 911. They'll give you the proper information and dictate what you should do.
And now the box truck is getting off the freeway here. Is this the Thousand Oaks exit?
But look quickly, this person's coming up on an intersection here, and we don't know how they're going to play this, driving through the intersection, passing on the right, all the while. Now
box truck versus
see if
box
he tries
truck.
to take an exit and get over there with him. Because again, I keep going back to the person in this Mr. Tire truck thinks that he's got a hit and run on his hands.
Right.
And so now look, he might try to stop him. If he gets in front of the second
Mr. Tire's
suspect
going
vehicle
to drop.
behind, if he tries to slow down, again, creating more danger for the people around.
And look at this.
Here we go.
Gosh, wow.
This is why you just don't do this.
Trying to stop him.
Absolutely. And now look at this. And where is CHP at this point, Bruce? What is CHP thinking?
Look at this.
CHP is trying to intervene as quickly as they can, because this Mr. Tire truck is taking positive action, boxing him in, slowing him down.
But I keep looking at all of the people on the highway right now, watching this occur, not realizing what's going on. And the Mr. Tire truck, again, he thinks he's trying to stop a hit and run vehicle, but the person could be armed in that vehicle because it was stolen. We don't know how it was stolen. And
He's
then
definitely armed.
for the person in the second box truck to be rear-ended, at that point, even if you thought you were just getting information, you can't re-engage, right, Bruce? I mean, at some point, you have to understand life and property are at risk here.
But my question is, what can the CHP do about this? I mean, what can they do?
Well,
what can they
taking
do?
Philip's question first.
Okay.
Obviously, you don't want to intervene and put yourself in a position of risking your life or other people's lives. It's a hit and run. Pull out of the side of the road. He doesn't know CHP is there, but they will engage him and get him involved as far as all the legal paperwork and everything. Let CHP do their job. The other thing, and Giovanna, if you could repeat your question. I'm sorry.
My question is, what can you do about this situation as a CHP officer following these two guys?
Well, they got to pull over the Mr. Tire truck and get him to disengage.
Yeah.
Disengage, Mr. Tire.
Philip's point is,
come on,
you got to
cuz.
get that other truck out of the problem because they can't do anything legally or lawfully and safely until you get that other truck out of the way. And at this point, that driver is hell-bent on stopping that truck.
Well, and the danger to commuters anywhere near these two vehicles, these
It's
two
box truck
vehicles at
versus
this
box
size,
truck
if
right
one of them
now.
flips, if one
Who's
of them
gonna take
is
it?
spun out and running into other vehicles, you're potentially causing great harm to other people. Look
Oh
at
my
this.
goodness, he is intent on getting that box truck.
At some point,
stopped.
CHP's got to catch up to Mr. Tire and pull him over to let him know what's going on, right?
Oh man, this shit is
now
crazy.
he's intervening again, and CHP has got to get there and solve this issue.
Well, the
CHP's on it now.
CHP is following the suspect vehicle. Mr. Tire has now pulled over. We don't know what he's going to do, but I'm sure CHP will be up quickly. So now the suspect vehicle is turning off of the freeway. It looks like that is Windsor or Jans Road, but has definitely pulled off the freeway. I guess he just decided he didn't want to deal with that other box truck anymore. Air 7HD, if we can get them to pull up on that, that's the suspect vehicle there. The other vehicle is on the highway.
Yeah, the main point to both of your points is don't get involved.
Yes.
Don't get involved.
We hear that, and we hope that our listeners and our viewers are hearing that too. Definitely not. You don't want to engage in a road rage situation for sure. And we don't know if the Mr. Tire guy has been on the phone with 911 trying to get, maybe he's trying to get a license plate. Who knows? Well, we saw him try to get this truck to stop.
It's a box truck
Well,
shooting.
911 would tell you immediately to pull back. But this is where the Lowe's truck actually ran into Mr. Tire. Mr. Tire and another box truck were simply driving along. I believe, as anyone, somebody hits you, rips off your front bumper, and then keeps going, you're going to at least follow to maybe get a license plate or something, and then you're going to be upset. But look at the driver on the left. That's the live picture. Again, going through an intersection, shown recklessness on the freeway, the engagement with another box truck. It's been just an aggressively violent, rageful act between these two guys. And then now you've got this box truck that has left the highway, probably wanting to get away from the other box truck who was just absolutely engaging with him. But
We need more out of
continues to
Mr.
try to get
Tire,
away.
man.
So, Bill, do we just resume where we were 15
What do we do,
minutes
Bill?
ago?
Bill, what do we
To
do?
let this play out again? Or does what happened on the freeway change everything?
Well, I think, he seems to be in some sort of residential area, and he's doing, 40, 50 miles an hour. So could you deploy a spike strip? If you can get ahead of this vehicle, yes, you can. I think the more prudent thing is to be, with the weather also, a little bit of rain in that area, is pull back, go into surveillance mode, have areas flood the area where he is basically going to have the terminus of this pursuit, and then take him into custody through coordinated response.
When we were talking to Scott Reif earlier, he mentioned a lot of these trucks have trackers on them. Can you talk a little bit about that? And if it does have a tracker, does it make sense just to let him continue on and they catch up with him later? Is that possible?
Yeah, a lot of these type vehicles have low jack or teletrack type issues, so their dispatch can track them as they finish their route or do their route. That's one way to do it. Another way too is you have the helicopter, and it's kind of hard to outrun the helicopter unless weather prevents them from doing that. So even if you were to park the vehicle and then foot bail, they're going to take this person into custody and they're going to follow this vehicle.
Well, as we look at the live shot on the left, the person pulled right out into oncoming traffic. So it's not as if this guy has suddenly begun driving safely. There's still some impatience and aggressiveness that you're seeing right there, passing a truck in the turn lane into what could be oncoming traffic and now approaching another intersection in that turn lane. We're going to see if this person is going to just go straight. They did. So again, using the turn lane. Why into oncoming traffic there?
Doesn't need to.
Again,
Yeah.
this is such a danger for people who have no idea what's going on, and all of a sudden they're staring at the grill of a box truck.
Yeah, this guy is definitely shown a wanton disregard for public safety.
And we talk about the speeds in this circumstance. It's not horrible, but it's still 50 roughly miles an hour in areas that are probably 35, and you're driving one of these big trucks and certainly not making a stop there at the red light, just cruising right on by. I'm not positive if this takes this person back in the direction of the freeway. They may want to get back on the freeway after leaving the freeway due to, there it is, going parallel to the freeway. So if you think about it, Giovanna, in that you get off the freeway because of what was going on with the other box trucks, but that's where you wanted to be in the first place.
Right.
So maybe you go through the neighborhoods and now you get back on the freeway. I'm not sure, but it does appear as if maybe that's where the direction that they're going.
Yeah, we saw the freeway in the wider image.
I'm not really sure
from
what's
the,
going on with this
helicopter a
right
moment
now.
ago, and
Why
I think
it's
it's
doing
right
what
on the
it's
other side of
doing,
this
but, hey,
intersection.
just gonna let
so
it
we'll
go.
see if he's going to head south. If it's the same freeway, there it is. Oh, no, I guess there's no on-ramp there. So.
But he turned left in front of all of those vehicles in that
the
intersection.
left turner.
So he probably saw the freeway, but as you mentioned, didn't know that there's not an on-ramp right there, unless maybe the right turn there will take you. So yeah, but again, even that simple move was dangerous because he was in a straight lane and turned left in front of vehicles. And now we're looking at the 101 again.
Not sure if it's south or north.
It is. We're trying to figure that one out. My guess is it's probably going back southbound just because that was the direction the person was going in the first place, which would mean he might come back up on Mr. Tire again.
So Bruce, what your
No, it's
thoughts?
northbound. My apologies. It does
is
say 101 northbound.
Northbound. So Bruce, bringing you back into this, this is perplexing. Like, how do you handle this?
Yeah, going back to what Philip said, this is a good-sized truck. It's got some weight to it. It may be loaded fully with cargo and appliances or whatever. So that creates another problem for the pursuing officers. But in this case, you just got to kind of follow the vehicle. I think if you get right up on it, and this person knows they're being chased, obviously, you may create a dangerous situation more than what we've seen.
Well, we keep running the video there on the right of the interaction between these two box trucks when the Lowe's vehicle, which is the suspect vehicle, sideswiped a person probably just going about their business and their day-to-day work, and then that person reacted over the course of about 2 or 3 minutes of some very dangerous activity between the two, still just trying to get the Lowe's person to stop. But because the Lowe's person is being chased by police, he was willing to ram the Mr. Tire truck from behind. He was willing to sideswipe them and continue to go. It was a really dangerous scenario for Mr. Tire truck. And I don't even think he realized how dangerous it was because this vehicle is stolen and has been trying to get away from police for the better part of an hour and a half now.
Likely completely unaware of what was happening when he was hit by that box truck.
And it's understandable. I mean, it is understandable to be that upset and that rageful, I would think, because Bruce, I mean, this was an unprovoked act on that person, and he just wanted them to stop and do the right thing. So it's
And he's driving
asking,
a company vehicle.
yeah,
He
it
probably
might
has
even
to
be his
explain.
business.
Like,
It might
we don't
even be
know.
his business.
Right.
But Bruce, I mean, it's hard. I mean, in hindsight, yes, I'm sure you could think, okay, yes, I should have done that differently. But in the moment, I don't think that the person's actions were that unjustified, except when it got more dangerous to people all around.
Yeah, and it doesn't look like he has a
Trying to hit
license
my
plate
box
on
truck.
Not anymore.
Dare
Remember, it was there was a whole lot going on.
that. Yeah, that's true.
Just kidding.
But Bruce, what you know when,
Yeah.
when you talk about the unjustified actions?
Yeah, I mean, obviously you're upset. You're frustrated. You're like, hey, this guy just hit me. I'm not going to let them get away with that, even though you don't know the other part of the circumstances of this incident. But, you know, we tell people, don't get involved. Discretion is the better part of valor. Pull to the side of the road, dial 911. You know, you just don't get involved.
What are there charges that someone could be facing in that circumstance? Maybe we can help our viewers with that as well. If you find yourself in something similar to this, because this could happen again within the next 5 minutes. What happens to a person who acts in that manner? Is it usually a slap on the wrist or a ticket or say, hey, don't do that again?
You know, it elevates itself. You have a hit and run misdemeanor, meaning you have now been involved in an accident and you have not pulled over and exchanged information with the other driver.
I got some.
So that's one charge. The second charge, obviously, is the pursuit charge. The other charge, too, if that person in that Mr. Tire truck was hurt and or injured.
Well, I was talking about the charges that Mr. Tire might face. Not that this suspect faces a litany of charges, but for somebody who had that happen to them, I would think that those actions are reasonable, but you mentioned that you tell people don't do that.
Yeah, I mean,
litany
are they
of
reasonable? Yes and no. Are you frustrated? Yes. Are you upset? Yes. How dare you hit me and then drive away? But I don't think anybody would look to charge him with anything.
Okay.
Obviously, he'd get a very stern warning from CHP or Ventura County SO. Yeah.
I mean, I understand following him. I don't think that I would get in front of him and try to stop that big truck. That might not have been the wisest thing to do. And certainly not anything we recommend.
Now he's got
but, you know,
screwed up
we
rear
keep
end and
talking
front end.
around this over and
It's
over
definitely
again. This
not
guy
good.
keeps
Not
going.
good for anyone.
It's just nothing stopping him, and it appears like it is getting rainier.
Well, going northbound.
Yeah, northbound.
And I'm not sure how our signal is going to be affected the further north we go. But again, we've been following this since about 11:30 on ABC7, and then now we are on our streaming channel. And when we went to the stream, that's when things took a turn. There were plenty of opportunities for unhappy outcomes during our broadcast on ABC7 when this person was driving in and out of traffic. But once we went to the stream and he ran into that box truck, but that's again, it's almost exactly what we had seen elsewhere. He was driving along, he went to change lanes, and either he couldn't see the box truck or he didn't know what he was doing, but he just didn't care and ran into somebody who was just minding their own business. And then that person, everything started to escalate there for a moment. And that's many times the dangers of these chases is, especially in surveillance mode, the people don't realize there's a chase going on right now. They don't realize what this person has done because they see no police officers. They see no law enforcement. And so they don't know to pull over. And then this person just sideswipes them. And everything changes.
Right. That seems to have been an accident, right? When he sort of clipped that other box truck. But you were talking about when we went from the stream, when we started this, we were going from our linear coverage to the stream. He became very aggressive when he realized that those CHP vehicles were behind him. Every time law enforcement has made their presence known, he ratchets up the aggression and the speed and the weaving and the dangerous driving.
And Bruce Thomas stays with us here. And, you know, Bruce, when we had LAPD, we had LA County Sheriff at one point. We had Ventura probably taking a look at this, although we didn't see any law enforcement from Ventura. We did see, that's when the CHP, as what Giovanna was just mentioning, joined. So you've had multiple agencies, and for the most part, everybody has taken the same tact, which is track the vehicle. But how do things change for all of these agencies based off of what we just saw between the two box trucks? Because I still don't see any CHP.
Yeah, I mean, there are a couple of things going on here. One, the unpredictability of the driver, and we've seen that. trying to pass a vehicle, ramming a vehicle, getting off the freeway, getting on the freeway. Totally unpredictable. The law enforcement seems to be in a tracking mode as the weather is deteriorating with rain. Police helicopters that normally would be able to follow with low-lying clouds and fog, they may not be able to. So in this case, it's going to be a kind of wait-and-see game. Maybe you can get some CHP ahead of the game because it is on the freeway to follow this person. But I don't think they're going to actively engage at this speed.
Yeah, and you said earlier Spike Strip would be their only possible, avenue of stopping him. But with the rain and the other vehicles on the road, that's not likely.
Well, the nice thing about the Spike Strip is once it's deployed and the little metal, I'll call them like straws, will then bed into the tire, it lets the air out very, very slowly. So it's almost like a controlled stop. But we have seen vehicles run on rims for a long period of time with no rubber. So it's not
zero rubber.
It's not the solution for everything.
Well, and if you look at this box truck, it's got 4 wheels on the back, if I'm looking at that correctly. So that makes it, if I'm, is it 2 there on the back? I can't, I thought it was. But yeah, it does look like there's 2 on the back and 4 on the back. So, now that makes that difficult. And, you get the front, okay, but you're going to have to deflate upwards of 6 tires if you really want him to get down on the rims.
Yeah, and the other thing, too, is to deploy the Spike Strip, you have to have a safe operational area.
That's a nice
not
trick.
just for the deployment, but for the officer who's going to deploy it, too.
Yeah, that's one of the things I was thinking about earlier, because the deployment of the Spike Strip is not just lay it out on the street and step back safely and watch. It usually is done in between one car coming by and another car coming by, and the officer has to toss it out there. So with an unstable vehicle like this, you're really putting the officer at extreme risk, because if they swerve to miss that Spike Strip and tip that vehicle over, that could be life-threatening.
They were
for the
on
officer.
them, and I haven't seen them there for a minute.
One of the things we're seeing,
so I don't know if they
weather
pulled back or
deteriorating
what.
rapidly as they move up toward Ventura County, heading up toward Santa Barbara, Oxnard. So with the low-lying clouds, law enforcement may just have to give this up and just kind of watch on the on and off ramps as this vehicle goes by.
Well, Bruce, here's what we're going to do very quickly. The stream is going to continue with this. Giovanna and I are going to pause. We have some work that we have to do on ABC 7.
We'll see what goes on, man.
Will continue as authorities monitor this box truck, which was reported stolen about 2 hours ago.
It's a chase. The CHP was on it. I mean, he must be just sitting back, because I haven't seen him. Okay. I saw him getting off the exit after he hit the Mr. Tire truck. And it was like a box truck shootout for a minute. I'm not really sure. Not sure how far back they're actually lagging on him. It's a little wild. It's getting misty. I apologize. There's nothing I can do about the weather. Oh, wow. Hold on a second, man. I don't know what's going on here. Hold on a second. And we're back. I think that's pretty much it, man. I'm not sure. I think they're just gonna end it like that. I mean, I figure at some point they're, we're gonna they were going to have to let it go. I don't know. I'm just gonna give this a minute because I don't see anybody else. Yeah, they're definitely pulling out. Thank you for. I appreciate everybody. Watching this now, watching this later. We'll see what happens. I don't know. You know what? I'm gonna stick around for a minute and see if I can't find. I really highly doubt it. I'm not finding anything else. So I guess everybody is pulled back at this point. They're not going to. We're gonna be back. We're gonna be back with some more chases, some more stuff. I don't know exactly where we're going yet, but we're going. We're definitely going. I appreciate everybody who's stopped in, dropped in. Take care of yourself. Take care of each other. Have a great day.